Hi everyone, it's Lena. Welcome back to my channel. Some of you may or may not know that I'm German. I was raised by German parents, born in Germany, and I've lived here for my entire life, which is a total of 22 and a half years. Some people would say that I'm typical German, although I don't really like that, and I don't necessarily agree with it. I mean, this trizub necklace and this chustka behind me are some of my trademarks, and I have a British accent, so I would not be what I call typical German, but I am obviously a German citizen. Over the past year, I have been in some sort of emotional conflict over my citizenship, but let's not talk about that. By now, I have realized that it is a privilege, and this thing is probably the most valuable thing I own. Given the fact that I'm a traveler, it comes in handy. Since I live in Berlin, a lot of my acquaintances are foreigners, and I know of some who have obtained the German citizenship and others who have not. Some plan to, some do not. And obtaining the German citizenship entails the citizenship test, the so-called Einbürgerungstest that has been existent since 2008, and they came up with this test. However, I have no idea what it entails since I never had to take it, but that's what I'm planning on doing today. I have researched a bit about it. I just know it's a lot about our political system and the constitution, and there are some questions that seem easier and some are even tough for locals, and I don't know, I just want to find out by myself. Honestly, I do not expect my chances to be particularly high. I mean, I did politics high level at school, but I failed. Okay, I studied German history at school, but it's been a while, you know. So I'm not so sure. Maybe this will be a fail. It will be embarrassing if I fail, but I would not be surprised. So as far as I found out, for the test, there's a pool of 310 questions that theoretically you need to know in order to take this test, but the test itself will only consist of 33 questions that will be randomly selected from those 310. The 300 are about Germany as a whole, and the 10 other ones are about the federal state that you are registered in and where you are taking it. In my case, that is Berlin. This is where my main residence is registered, plus I've spent the majority of my life here. I was born in Schleswig-Holstein. I grew up in Hamburg, but Berlin is where I've spent the most time, so I will know about it best probably, although it's not my native hometown. Anyway, the website of the Bundesamt für Migration und Flüchtlinge, which is responsible for the citizenship test and where you would take it if you were to take it, except it would not be online. But they have this sample test, which is under test conditions, like 33 questions within an hour. I think that's plenty of time, if I'm honest. But this is just for practice purposes and nothing official. They also have the entire catalogue of the questions, so you can practice. Yeah, it is all in German because in the end you'll have to take it in German as well, because you also need to have German language proficiency in order to obtain citizenship. I will try my best to translate it, but no promises, because there are probably a lot of political terms in it that I will just not know. But I'm just gonna get started. I'm a bit scared. What if I'm going to fail? It will be embarrassing. Start sample test. Okay, that seems easy. What is the coat of arms of Germany? The first one, because the second one I've never even seen. The third one I think is of the army, at least I've seen it in connection of the army. And the fourth one is of GDR, I think. So this is like on what kind of festive holiday people in Germany wear colorful costumes and masks. I think this is referring to Carnival, which is not celebrated in my region. It's more celebrated on the west of Germany. But the only one of these related to Carnival is Rosenmontag. From what age you may participate in general elections? 18. In regional elections, it is 16, but not for our general parliament, the Bundestag. It's 18. This is a bit difficult to translate, but basically this is asking what is permitted by our constitution. It should be Geldstrafe. It wouldn't be Germany if it wouldn't be Geldstrafe. Geldstrafe is like you're paying a fine. All the other ones are way too harsh. I think Prügelstrafe is like related to beating. Folter means torture, and Todesstrafe means death penalty. We do not have these. By what words does the German national anthem start? Einigkeit und Recht und Freiheit. I only know the first two lines of the German national anthem. Fun fact, I know the Ukrainian national anthem better. When can a party be prohibited in Germany? When their campaign is too expensive, if they fight against the constitution, when they criticize the head of state, or when their program suggests a new direction. When they're against the constitution. What does the abbreviation CDU mean? Christlich-Demokratische Union. Yeah, should be. For how many years is our parliament, the Bundestag, elected? 4 years. At least we have elections every 4 years, so yeah. Elections in Germany are geheim. That means secret. We have anonymous elections. Freedom of speech in Germany means that I may insult people on the street, may voice my opinion in Leserbriefe means like a letter to an editor of a magazine, wear Nazi symbols, or may voice my opinion as long as I do not oppose the government. You may oppose the government, definitely, that's democracy. Nazi symbols are prohibited. It should be this Leserbriefe thing. I will not be able to translate all these answers, but this is asking what the 5% hurdle is. This one, it's minimum amount of votes that a party requires to get into parliament. All these others I cannot explain in English, I'm sorry. In a democracy, the purpose of regular elections is to force citizens to cast a vote, enable a change of government by the will of a voters' majority, keep existing laws in a country, or give more power to the poor. Second one, enable a change of government. Next, I skipped the 13th one. Okay. A mayor is principal of a school, a boss of a bank, head of a community, or chairman or woman of a party. A head of a community, I think. Yeah. All the others don't really make sense. What is allowed during elections in Germany? Husband may cast a vote for his wife? Nope. You may cast your vote by letter, you may cast your vote by phone, or children aged 14 and older may vote. No, that's too young, but you can cast your vote by letter. I prefer to go in person though. A judge in Germany belongs to judiciary, executive, operative, or legislative. Should be judiciary. What does the Constitution prohibit? Military service, forced labor, free choice of profession, or work abroad? The only answer that makes sense is forced labor. Military service, it's not mandatory, but still, if it still exists, you know, and if we were at war, there would be military service. It just, yeah. The Third Reich was a dictatorship, a democracy, a monarchy. Räterepublik, I don't even know what that means, but it was a dictatorship. What did the NS state classify? Politics of racism by the state, freedom of speech? Definitely not. General freedom of religion or development of a democracy? Got to be racism, yes, of course, NS. What happened on the 9th of November 1938? World War II starts by the attack on Poland. The Nazis lose the elections and dissolve the parliament. Jewish shops and synagogues are being destroyed by Nazis and their followers, or Hitler becomes president and prohibits all parties. No, that was earlier. World War II was later. That was the third one, I think. Yeah, 9th of November makes sense. I just didn't know the year when that happened. What existed during the time of Nazism in Germany? Prohibition of parties, the right to freedom of expression, freedom of press, or protection of human dignity. This is a really clumsy translation, by the way, but during that time parties were prohibited, I think, yeah. Why is the time in autumn 1989 in GDR called Die Wende? During that time, GDR changed politically from a dictatorship to democracy, from a liberal Marktwirtschaft, I don't really know what that means, to socialism, it's not important, from a monarchy to social democracy, definitely not, from a religious state to a communist state. Was GDR a dictatorship? This definitely makes the most sense, but I really don't know much about GDR. But it seems the most plausible. The Federal Republic of Germany has today's borders since 1933? Definitely not. 1949, 1971, or 1990? 1990 since reunification, isn't it? Anyway, I'm just gonna go with 1990. The European Parliament is regularly elected every 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, or 8 years. Oh, I don't know, to be honest. The last European elections were in 2018, I think. Yeah, I voted in that election and I was 18 years old. If it would be every 5 years, we would have elections this year. But I don't know about that. I'm just gonna go with every 5 years, but it's probably wrong. Could be 7. What country is the neighbor country of Germany? Finland, Denmark, Norway, or Sweden? Denmark, it borders to the north of Germany. This is again hard to translate. But it's about our job agency. Calculating pension, looking for a place where you can do like a training to a job, tax returns, or health insurance. Most plausible, if it's like a work finding thing, should be the second one. Sorry for the clumsy translation. A couple in Germany wants to open a restaurant. What is needed in order to do that? Permission by the police doesn't make much sense. The permission by a party, permission by registration office, or Gaststättenerlaubnis. It does sound like a permission to open a restaurant, but I can't really explain that. Registration office. Einwohnermeldeamt is like where you register a place of residence. First two definitely don't make sense. Gosh, the last one sounds so German. I would not be surprised if that were true. Zuständigen Behörde means like the responsible authority. I cannot imagine what kind of authority that would be. I'm just gonna go with it, but it's probably wrong. An adult woman wants to retake her Abitur. Abitur is like the highest education certificate that you can obtain in Germany, like a school certificate. It's what you get when you complete like 12 or 13 years of school. It depends on the school you go to. For me, it was 13. She can do that at Hochschule, is like university, but something similar to a university. Evening school, Hauptschule it's like so difficult to translate these institutions since there are no real English equivalents, I think. But it's evening school. It's like a school you go to in the evening where you can retake your Abitur. I know that at least. Nachtruhe means like quiet times, basically, like a time of rest. And when does that start? During sunset, when the neighbors go to sleep? No, that's everyone's own business. At midnight or at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. A man in a wheelchair applied for a job as an accountant. What's an example for discrimination? He only doesn't get the job because he's in a wheelchair, is not experienced, has too high expectations of his wage, or doesn't speak English. Is in a wheelchair. Because I know that much, that in Germany, nobody may be discriminated because of disability, gender, sexuality, what else? Religion, heritage. Yeah, But the other three would be valid criteria why someone would not get a job. In GDR, mostly lived migrants from Vietnam, Poland and Mozambique, France, Romania, Somalia, Chile, Hungary and Zimbabwe, North Korea, Mexico and Egypt. I'm not 100% sure, I just know that GDR had a lot of Vietnamese immigrants, that's why I'm gonna go with the first one. Coat of arms of Berlin. Okay, now we're getting the questions specified for my federal state, which is Berlin. That's number 4. Number 1 is Hamburg. Number 2 is either Niedersachsen or Bremen, but I'm not 100% sure. 3 is Hessen, I think. 4th is Berlin. How is like the head of government of Berlin called? The minister president is from other federal state. The thing is, Berlin is its own city and federal state at the same time, so it's a bit different. But it's called Regierender Bürgermeister. Okay, so basically label Berlin on the map. It's number 4 again. Number 1 is Bremen, number 3 is Hamburg, and number 2 is Saarland. And that was the entire test. Go to results. I'm generally curious. Okay. Yes. What? 33 out of 33, that's equal to 100%. I did not expect that, okay? Most of these questions were quite easy, but I was not 100% sure on all of them. Okay, so yeah, good to know that I'm definitely deserving of my citizenship, and I have not forgotten all my knowledge of my politics and history course. But I did not expect 100%. Okay, I expected a pass, but not that much, okay? But maybe I was just lucky on this selection of questions. I do not think I could answer all 310 questions correctly, but yeah. That was my experience with the German citizenship test. I'm gonna leave the link to the sample test below if you yourself want to attempt it or want to see like all the questions for practice purpose. Good luck if you want to actually obtain German citizenship. This test is, by the way, not the only requirement, but I'm not really sure about all that. But yeah, I just did this test out of sheer curiosity, like what would lie ahead if you were actually trying to obtain citizenship. And yeah, that's it, I think. I'll see you hopefully in my next video, and bye!